38%. That is what Samsung took away from the Samsung S90D with their latest firmware update. Now, if you're like me, you're not always going to hook up tools and equipment after doing a firmware. You're going to think, oh, they said it improves the TV, it improves the TV. But in this day and age, you have to. And most people don't have the knowledge or the tools or the software. So what does Samsung do? They play on this massive lack of understanding as to how it works. Because come on, how really would the conversation play out at your retail counter? Hi, retail clerk, I'm returning said product because they removed 38% of my nits. The retail clerk is going to look at you and say, what the hell is a nit? And then you're going to say the update did this, and you're going to sound crazy because most people don't have this knowledge. I'm well aware of this fact, but that's where I come in. As a professional, I have a responsibility and a duty and an obligation to make sure my viewers and anyone who might stumble into my video can get properly informed. So smack a like on this video because today we literally just dove right in and will continue to do so by talking about the egregious amount of brightness taken away on the recent 1310 firmware update on the Samsung S90D. Now at the present, I have not checked the brightness of the S95D and the HDR performance of the S90D due to being extremely upset. I will say this though, the SDR performance showed me pretty much all I needed to see before walking away, storming off. My first take of this video, by the way, was me just ranting the entire video because I was that pissed off, okay? I'm gonna try to dial it down and present the information this time around in a way you could actually digest it, okay? So let's start off with a baseline, something everyone can see. We're gonna say, go to rtings.com, look at the initial day one values that they picked, or maybe even a little bit past that because maybe they didn't get the product day one. So it's a little further along to show you that it was performing a certain way quite recently, not terribly old. Okay, and I'm going to read you the figures from rtings.com. On a 2% window, and if you don't understand what all this is, that's okay. But on a 2% window of brightness, basically, it measures 1199. On a 10% window, 1193. On a 25% window, 640. On a 50%, 334. On a 100% window, 214. And then the sustained windows always go down, which the 2% sustained is 1192, 10% sustained 948, 25% sustained 614, and a 50% 392, and then on a 100% window it is 211. Now, those are pretty good numbers, very impressive for an OLED, wouldn't you say? Well, watch what happens after the update. On a 100% window now, after 1310, you're down from 214 on a 100% window down to 188.7. On a 50% window, 293.8. On a, what? We did the 100, we did the 50, this is the 25% window, you're at 459. The 15% window, you're on a 458. The 2% window, you are on a 454. The 1% window, you are at a 160. Those are very different numbers. The highest, essentially, all that number talk out of the way, let's go with the highest average, okay? The highest average that you had before was 1199 versus 460.4. If you divide the new amount, which is, again, 460.4, and you divide that by the starting point of 1200, just round up, that will equal 0.38. You multiply that by 100, giving you 38%, 0.33. Okay, you literally lost 38% of your brightness with a single patch. That is unheard of. That is nearly half of your brightness gone because they decided that that's what they wanted to do. The point of this is to say you need to be very careful. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Never, ever put a TV online unless you are okay with losing a substantial amount of brightness, color, and picture quality after the fact. After all the cherry-picked YouTubers that get you review samples to tell you how amazing it is, come out and tell you how great it is, you're going to get the lesser version of that later on once those patches come out, once the new model comes out. And if you remember last year, I told you what Samsung was going to do was the moment the new model comes out, for those who remember, you remember, okay? I told you the new model is going to come out, and then you're going to see a patch come out. And that patch is going to lower the performance and brightness more than likely, keep your TVs offline. Well, here we are, 38% later, 38.3% later. It's gone. You've lost 739 nits, 740 nits. That's a lot. And I'm very personally pissed off because that wasn't a review sample. Nobody bought me that. I worked hard, I saved my money, and I bought that for me and my family. And now we're 38% out of our brightness. You can imagine the rage I feel. If you've ever had that feeling where after a while you watch your TV when you first bought it, it's like, damn, this is the best TV, it's amazing, it's bright, it's beautiful, it's colorful, and it's a Samsung, and you're so happy with it. And then later on you're like, it just doesn't feel the same. Why is my TV no longer looking like it did when I bought it? Well, that's because Samsung does this to all of their TVs. You're not special, budget or high end. They will do this to you. The message is quite simply put, stop trusting Samsung with these updates. If you have testing tools and equipment, log when you take it out of the box, put all your data in, and then measure after those updates come out, right around the time the new models come out, and you'll start to notice what I have noticed since about 2016, 2017. These patches get a little sus after a while, and it's always around this time of year because, again, you can't explain it. Can you? How can you, the average consumer, explain what I'm telling you? You would need graphs and charts and nits to explain it to the average person. Let's be real, in the everyday world, most people don't know much about calibrations. And they capitalize on that lack of knowledge by destroying products and making you think your TV looks worse because maybe it's a year or two old and maybe it's not as good anymore. Maybe that's just how it is. Maybe the colors are going out on it. Maybe this is going left field. And guess what? All the while, it's intentional. It's mind manipulation to make you believe that you bought a product that just is getting old now when they're doing it deliberately. And we have the proof now. 38%. So here's the equation for everybody out there who has testing tools and equipment. If you want to see what percentage of brightness you're losing, literally measure it from the starting point when you first get it day one. And then at whatever point after a patch, measure the after, okay? Take your after number, divide it by your before number, okay? That will give you a number. You multiply that number by 100 and you will have the percentile you have, whether either remaining or whatever, okay? I'm giving this information because I want you to do this. If you can, do it, because this is the way we hold them accountable. Make no mistake, at this point needs to be a class action lawsuit where a bunch of creative minds and a bunch of content creators and a bunch of enthusiasts and calibrators get together and say, no, Samsung, you're wrong, because this is wrong. We have proof that they are taking 38% of our brightness from us, and it needs to be stopped. Hopefully, at the very least, you'll use an Xbox or a PlayStation gaming console or some other device to get those beautiful online shows that you love so much, because Samsung at this point in time is not where I would recommend you do that at. Thanks so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, keep your Samsung offline.